My name is Charlotte Bonham-Carter and I am a curator at the ICA. Oscar is an American artist originally from Seattle who has been based in Paris since 2007. He's part of the artist collective and gallery space there called Castillo Corrales. Oscar first devised the strategy for this show for an exhibition in the Kunsthalle Bern. There, Oscar started with quite a simple premise, with the idea that he would work with 4 cubic structures. And this kind of has resonance with Sol LeWitt. So if you know Sol LeWitt's work, you know that he often starts with quite a straightforward idea, a simple logic, and then pursues it, often to the point of absurdity. Oscar, I think, is interested in this idea because it enables him to free the artwork from the idea that it has to execute a particular concept. So if he's starting with 4 cubes, he sees that as a way of avoiding the fact that or avoiding any particular reading or interpretation of the piece. And so it's important, this kind of conceptual freedom. You can understand the piece as this struggle for autonomy, both conceptually, freed from these different interpretations and readings, but also physically in the space as it resists the architecture of the building. And essentially he shows that the space isn't suitable for this work. It's simply too large. So you can see in the exhibition several points in which the 4 cubes that Oscar's created actually transcend the gallery walls. They puncture the walls of the space. Whether or not this is actually quite a violent, kind of aggressive gesture, or you see it as something a bit more playful, I'm not really sure. Oscar tends to work on site. So this particular piece took about 10 to 12 days to install. The beams are so thick that there are actually strips of bark left on the beams, so you can really see that it's basically like a whole tree in some instances. Initially, the piece was supposed to be 4 cubes, and that's where we began. It's not only the physical parameters that Oscar's pushing against, but also the time that we have to make the piece, the budget, the materials available to us. These kind of parameters end up shaping the piece, and that's the reason for this kind of unusual joint in the middle of the piece here, and other places around the structure. You can see where he's started to patch together the remaining bits of wood. You know, it's important to understand this kind of improvised quality of the piece, because nothing about the piece is precious. You can step on the work, you can sit on the work, you're kind of free to interact with it in this way that really signifies it's not precious. And one of the ways I think that Oscar kind of encourages that is by placing a beam in the middle of the entranceway. You really have to step over this beam, and you kind of think, well, then if you're stepping over it, you might as well step on it. Over here, with the door that actually kind of shuts on the beam, it's a way of kind of suggesting that you're allowed to or encouraged to interact with the piece in this way. I think this is one of few instances that very literally link the lower gallery to the concourse. And again, something I think that hasn't happened previously is the artwork is actually extended into the bar. And I think this is really the moment where it's no longer a polite piece. So it's really another example of the institution responding to and proving itself to be flexible around the artwork rather than the other way around, which I think is kind of an interesting reversed relationship there, that the gallery and more than the gallery, the institution actually have to accommodate the work rather than the other way around.